Steve has asked everyone to comment, leave your debate topics, your questions, and so forth. One of the first that came from our friend Ballard Sports Media about the virus impacting the season, specifically Ohio State. Of course, the athletes stepped on campus for the first time this past Monday. Steve, your thoughts about how much is being talked about regarding the virus and what would be put in play if somebody did test positive, and what is still the plan or the thought there?
Yeah, Ohio State brought the guys in, and according to all the precautions and everything that were prescribed, everybody underwent a coronavirus test before participating in workouts, and presumably everybody was cleared. We have gotten no indication from Ohio State, as we've heard from Alabama, that as many as 5 guys had tested positive. Ohio State, I'm missing it, has not released any information to the point where they've said they're not going to release any information. It's private text that I've been involved in. But if somebody were to test positive and they're checking symptoms every day and asking the players to exercise best practices, wearing masks to and from and in public, and just trying to not put themselves in position where they can end up with a positive test. To me, that's all you can really ask anybody to do at this point. And again, these are just, as they're calling them, voluntary workouts right now. Although, parenthesis behind it, if you want to play this year, you should probably come to the voluntary workout, is how it's always worked out. But we have no idea if somebody had some misgivings and didn't show up. I mean, we could go through the list of guys that we saw that we could recognize went through there on their way into the building. Probably come up with 90 to 95% of the players, and maybe just 1 or 2 stragglers went in the door and we didn't see them or whatever. But at any rate, I think you got to be excited that they've taken the first step. We talked about a few weeks ago how Ohio State will have students in classes is the plan. They'll have reduced numbers in the dormitories. That's the plan. We have no idea yet in terms of seating for Ohio Stadium, if it'll be 20, 30, 50, or 100,000 people. We just don't know yet. But obviously the date is coming fast toward us where they're going to have to make some decisions in that regard. Again, right now, these are just conditioning workouts with the coaches. What we understand, groups of 36 perhaps at one time, spread into smaller groups of 9, and they go through various stations, we presume, with strength coaches. And then that group leaves, and the next group of 36 shows up and go through their stations. And this is where it's at right now. They're not on the field in helmets and shoulder pads and jerseys yet. There is some talk. The NCAA approved the calendar to where they can get in mid-July and start doing some type of walkthroughs with the football coaches, but the football coaches are actually separated from the players except for Zoom calls right now.
Anything on this, Kevin, in regards to the players back on campus and what precautions need to be taken and should be taken?
No, they've done a really good job of kind of laying out what's going on. They're certainly not sharing a lot of information on what's happening with the guys in terms of if anybody did, test the wrong way or whatnot. It was my understanding we didn't see a couple of guys because they had just got back into town, and because of that, they still needed to sit 24 to 48 for their test results to come in and to go through all of their health checks and whatnot. People are so starved to talk about this position battle and that position battle, but for now, they're just getting back into the swing of things with supervised weight training at this point with the strength and conditioning staff. We've talked about in the past that, some guys had access to the full home gym and other guys were carrying around sacks full of rocks and buckets with dirt in it. I mean, not everybody had necessarily the same workout regimen, and they're going to have to get these guys back into shape and back in, know kind of what it is they're dealing with when we do reach this potential, I think July 13th or something around that time date for teams that play in week 1. June 17th is going to be an important day when the Division I Council meets again and allegedly will vote on some of these things that came out. I first read about it from Yahoo's Pete Thamel about the plan that is in place of when you'd be able to start doing more in terms of the 20-hour work week, and then when camp would start itself, and still kind of targeting that early August type of situation. So it certainly all sounds well. Really at this point, hoping that Ohio State makes Ryan Day available here soon, and that maybe we can, while we may not get a lot of stuff on individuals, we can get an idea of how this first week back has gone for the Buckeyes.
It's a pretty odd situation to watch when we were there Monday, just sitting around, standing around, watching as the players reported. There would be a group of 9 or whatever would go in, and then another group of 9 would come in, and there was a point where there are 9 offensive linemen being told they can't come into the building yet because it's already at capacity, and they needed to get a group from one spot into another before this group could come in. So, and they're taking it seriously. One of the operations guys said this has to be the cleanest building in the nation. We'd see them every 30 minutes, every 60 minutes, wiping down the doors and the door handles, and the doors are even open, so they're propped open and they're still wiping everything down. And all the players walk in with masks. And if they didn't have masks, they were, there's maybe only a couple instances of players who didn't have masks, and the OSU staffers had masks. And so they are taking it seriously. There's only certain parts of the WAC, the football complex that's open right now, and there's not a lot of people in there. As evidence of that, we saw Ryan Day get in his truck at 12 p.m. and leave and come back 10 minutes later with Chipotle. He went and got his own lunch, didn't have like an intern or somebody there to do that for him. So there's not a lot of people in the building right now because that's just what the limit is. And we are a long way from opening that place back up fully to the team, but in terms of the process, but we're, maybe a short calendar time away. But everything seems to be trending in the right direction, and it's encouraging. And you talk to anybody, and I think everybody's optimistic that things are going to be just fine in terms of getting the season going.
Yeah,
Steve, go ahead.
Tony, you just outed Coach Day. He's going to have to take a 7-figure endorsement deal from Chipotle now. So sad day for the Day family, but you've put him in position to be an endorser. Maybe if he wins a national championship, he'll get an endorsement contract with Chipotle.
Well, he's going to get those endorsements in. According to NBA Fan, he's going to be out of a job and probably coaching in the MAC by 2023 after he goes 9-3.